Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Michael. You're watching IDB, and it is that time of year again. We have another major iOS update now available. Today, Apple has released iOS 18. So on your iPhone, you can go ahead and open up Settings, then tap on General, then Software Update, and you can update your iPhone to iOS 18 right here. In this video, I'm going to show you every major new feature in iOS 18. So let's just go ahead, roll the intro, and jump right in. So I want to get things started inside of Messages. The first new feature I want to show you is something that Apple is calling Send Later. This essentially allows you to schedule a message. So if you click on the plus icon right here, you see we have an option that says Send Later. And if you don't see it, all you have to do is scroll to the secondary menu. When you click on Send Later, you'll see above the text field we have an option to choose when we want this message to be sent. So we can just choose, let's say, Sunday, and then for 5 p.m., I'll just type out a message, then click on Send. You can see here we have the option to send another one, and then we can click on the X to get rid of that. You can see here, if I zoom in, it's saying Send Later. So you can see it's indicating that that message is not going to be sent right now. It's going to be sent at a future date. And indicating that also, you can see that the text is outlined in blue instead of covered in blue. And this feature is going to be a game changer for those of you who always forget your friend's birthday. Now you can go into the Messages application, you can type out the message a month in advance if you want to, and you'll never forget that birthday text. The next feature inside of Messages is really cool. Apple is now supporting iMessages and text messages to be sent over satellites. So over the last few years, Apple has been expanding their satellite services. It started with emergency SOS via satellite, and then they also supported sharing your location in the Find My network over satellite as well. Now you're able to send an iMessage or a text message over a satellite, which is really cool. So this only works if you are completely out of service. So I obviously can't demo it right here because I do have service. But if you are, let's say, hiking in the backcountry and you have absolutely no service, you will still be able to send a iMessage or a text message if you can connect to a satellite and have an iPhone that supports satellite services. So here is a screenshot of what your iPhone is going to look like when you are sending a message over satellite. You can see in the text field it is going to indicate that you are using satellite, and your iPhone is going to guide you to aim your iPhone at the satellite to make sure that the message gets sent. And iOS 18 now finally supports RCS over text message. So this stands for Rich Communication Services, and this makes texting your green bubble friends a lot better. So when you're texting over RCS, when you send stuff like photos and videos, the quality is going to be a lot better. You also get small niceties like typing indicators and also read receipts in the thread. And then you also get small little features such as the ability to tap back a message, and the other person on the Android phone is actually going to be able to see it on the bubble. So overall, this is going to make texting your Android friends a lot better. You can see if you are using RCS by looking in the typing field. You can see it says text message and then RCS right there. You do have to make sure that you turn this on though. So go into Settings, then at the bottom you want to click on Apps, then scroll to Messages. Then you want to scroll down a little bit more and you'll see RCS messaging. Click on it right here and then just make sure it is turned on. When you have this turned on, any Android friend whose Android phone also supports RCS will instantly start working with this feature. So those were all the major changes to Messages in iOS 18, but we do have a few other small little fun features. So the first one is we have an all new redesigned tapback menu. You can see here it looks a little bit more colorful. I just like the way it looks in iOS 18 now. But also we can choose to tap back a message with any emoji. So if you swipe over, you'll see some of your recent emojis. And you can also click on this button and you can choose to tap back a message with any emoji of your choice. And then we also have something that's sort of fun called text effects. So if I go ahead and type out a message, then select the text, then swipe over and click on text effects, you can see here we can first of all choose to bold, italicize, underline, or strike through. I think these are going to be the most useful. But then we also have some fun animated ones. We have bloom, ripple, nod. These are kind of fun if you want to add some life to your texting. And I do believe that some of these text effects can be triggered automatically by the system. So I believe if I type out woo with a lot of O's, you can see it actually recommends that effect right there. So the next major feature in iOS 18 is for the home screen, and you can probably already see it on mine. You are able to place applications and widgets anywhere. So there is no more top to bottom grid system. You can place anything anywhere on your iPhone home screen, finally. So you can see here on mine, I have a little bit of separation between my apps and my widgets. I also have this page on the far right where I can place any application anywhere I want. I think this just makes the iPhone a little bit more fun and it feels more freed up. If you have a really nice wallpaper that you want to showcase, you can have your applications just on the edge of your screen and you can still showcase that wallpaper. I think this is a really, really awesome change. And on top of this, there is a really great new feature for widgets on your home screen. So as you may remember, before iOS 18, if you wanted to change the size of a widget, you actually weren't able to do it. You would have to remove the widget and then add a different size of that widget. But now in this update, you're able to grab any widget on the corner when it's in edit mode, and you can drag it out and make it bigger on your home screen. I think this is gonna be a lot better for editing your home screen and making it look the way you want it to. And the final change, and possibly my favorite one for the home screen, is dark mode icons. When you go into edit mode, if you click the edit button here on the top left, then press on customize, you can see we have some options here at the bottom. So my icons are in automatic mode. So when my iPhone is in dark mode, everything will go dark, my widgets and my icons. You can also choose to have them dark permanently. So if you click on dark, you can see my wallpaper, my widgets, and my app icons get dark. What I really like about this is the applications that even aren't supported yet by the developer are still going to be turned dark. So for example, I don't believe Google Maps or YouTube have been updated for iOS 18, but as you can see, the application icons are actually dark. So Apple has an algorithm that's working in the background that when you have your icon set to dark, it's gonna make every icon, including ones that aren't even supported yet, into a dark mode version. I think this is going to even further enhance the experience when you are in dark mode, because as you may remember in iOS 17, a lot of the icons are just a white background, which really doesn't look good when you are in dark mode. So I think this is going to be an amazing user experience, especially at nighttime. And then with this feature, we also have even further customization that we can choose. If we click on the button at the bottom right that says tinted, we can choose to actually tint our icons any color that we want. We have a few sliders here. We can choose any color that we want. And I've mentioned this in a few of my other videos. I really don't think this is an Apple-like feature. I just don't think it looks that good, to be honest with you. But if you're someone who wants to have bright green icons like this, I guess you can now choose to do that on your iPhone. However, what is really nice about this tinted icons feature is we do have a color sampler button right here. So if you wanted to color match your icons to your wallpaper, you can press on this button and you can choose the exact color that you want to match with your wallpaper. So it does make it look a little bit better when you do it like this. Also in this menu, when you click on the button in the top left corner, you see it looks like a sun. It's going to change your wallpaper from light mode to dark mode. And then we also have a new option for large icons, which is going to completely remove the labels from all of your applications. So I tried this for a few weeks. In my opinion, it looked a little bit cluttered, so I didn't really like the look of these large icons. But I think a few of you are gonna like the simplistic design of your icons like this without having any labels below them. So I'm actually really curious about your guys' thoughts on this feature. When I have my iPhone set up like this with the tinted icons and no labels, it almost looks like a jailbroken iPhone from years ago, but this is actually stock iOS 18. So let me know your thoughts on this level of customization in the comments down below. So this next section of the video I have labeled user experience, and we have a few really nice changes inside of this. So the first one is we're now able to change our lock screen toggles, which is really, really nice. The reason I'm looking forward to this is because I really don't want to have my camera toggle on the bottom right-hand corner when I can always swipe to access my camera. So I'll show you how we can edit this. If you press and hold on the lock screen, then click on Customize, then press on the lock screen, you can see we're actually now able to change these toggles. So I actually like having the flashlight there, but having the camera here doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm going to click on the minus button, then I'll click on plus. And I think having a shortcut to the calculator is going to be very, very useful. So if I click right here, you can see my calculator is now right there as that shortcut. When I click on done, you can see I'm still able to swipe to access my camera as always. But now if I press and hold on this toggle, I can quickly access my calculator as well. So in my opinion, even though it's a small feature, I think this is one of my favorite updates in iOS 18. And let me know in the comments what you're going to change your lock screen toggles to. And the next feature I have for overall user experience is the ability to lock and or hide an application. So if you press and hold on an application on your home screen, you can see we have an option that says require Face ID. If you click on this, it's going to ask if we want to hide the application and require Face ID or just require Face ID. And I'll show you both of these options. So if you click on require Face ID, it's gonna scan your face. I'll try to do it from behind the camera, and there we go. So now if I try to open up Slack, you can see it's gonna require Face ID, or if my face is blocked, my passcode. And then we can also go one step further and choose to hide the application as well. So again, I'll press and hold, click on require Face ID, and then I'll click on hide and require Face ID. Once I authenticate with my face, you can see it says it's gonna hide the application. So I'll click on hide app. And just like that, Slack is now hidden from my iPhone. So how do you find these hidden applications? Well, if you go into your app library at the very end of all of your pages and then scroll down, you'll see that we have a folder that's called hidden. And it doesn't show if you have any applications in this folder, which is kind of the point. Once you click on the folder, then authenticate with Face ID, it's gonna show you all of your hidden applications. So I don't know if I wanna know what you guys are gonna use this feature for, but it definitely is a nice to have feature on the iPhone. Another feature I want to throw in this section is a new privacy update. So you know when you are opening up an application for the first time and the application asks if it can access your contacts, well, that is a very broad statement. Maybe you want the application to only see 1 or 2 contacts, but not your entire contacts list. Now in iOS 18, you're able to do that. So I have a screenshot of what it looks like. When you open the application, you're actually able to select which contacts you want that application to see instead of granting a whole yes to all of your contacts. And then one more feature I want to mention for this section is something that Apple is calling gaming mode. Now, I don't game at all on my iPhone, so I don't have any games that I can open to show you. But when you are in any game on your iPhone, you are going to see this new option pop up as soon as you open up the game that says game mode. So when game mode is on, background activity is going to be paused to further optimize the performance of the game. So your iPhone is not going to be refreshing the weather in the background. It's not going to be sending you as many email push notifications. Overall, it's going to limit the background activity of your iPhone to make that game perform at its maximum capability. The next major update with iOS 18 is we have a full-on redesigned control center. So if I go into Control Center, you can see this is what it now looks like. I actually sort of enjoyed the layout of iOS 17 Control Center, so you can see mine actually looks pretty similar. However, I have shifted the controls down a bit so it's easier to reach with my thumb. But when you press and hold in open space in Control Center, you can see it shows all of the open spots where we can add a new control. We can click on add a control at the bottom, and this is going to bring us to our controls gallery. And this is where it really gets important because we are actually going to have third-party applications inside of the controls gallery, which I think is going to be a groundbreaking feature. So say for example, you own a Tesla. Once Tesla updates their app for iOS 18, you could have a button in Control Center that would instantly allow you to start your air conditioning or open your trunk. So you can just imagine the capability you'll have inside of Control Center once third-party applications have access to these toggles. And when you add something to Control Center, you'll see that each one has a grabber, just as we had with widgets on the home screen. And just as we could with those widgets, we can also resize these toggles in Control Center, which I think is great. And iOS 18 also allows us to have multiple pages of Control Center. You can see here I have a full-on page for all of my connection settings, and I can swipe back out to my main page. You can also access any of these pages with one single swipe. So if I swipe down to Control Center and keep pulling, you can see I can access that second page right there. And you can choose to have as many pages in Control Center as you want. So as soon as you go into edit mode and then swipe up, you can click on add a control. So I'll add this one, for example. And I can swipe again, and I can have another page, and you can essentially have as many pages of Control Center as you need. Another thing I should mention is essentially any control that you can have here inside of Control Center now is also going to be accessible on the lock screen as well. So if you have something in Control Center that you love to use, you're actually now able to add it to the lock screen, as every toggle in Control Center is now usable in the bottom of the lock screen as well. So those were all of the major changes in iOS 18. Now it's time for my favorite part of the video to show you all of the small little tweaks and changes in this update. And I want to start with the Photos application. I honestly don't know how to feel about this update. I actually think I liked the way the Photos app was in iOS 17 before this. So in Photos, we no longer have any tabs at the bottom. It is simply a vertically scrolling application. It's a little bit confusing, and I'll give you an example. So you know how in iOS 17 you were able to pinch in or out to change the size of your previews? Well, I thought I was no longer able to do that. But now in iOS 18, you have to go into your photo viewer, and you know you're in that mode when you scroll down and you see years, months, and all. Now when you're in this mode, you can zoom in or out and change the size of your preview. And then once you click on the X at the bottom, it brings you back to your home page. And then once you're here on your home page, if you want to find anything, you're going to have to scroll. It does make it a little bit easier though, because you can completely reorder your Photos app. So if you click on this button right here, let's say for example, you want to see some of your trips first, all you have to do is drag that up to the top. And you can also choose to turn anything off. So if you don't want wallpaper suggestions, you can simply uncheck it just like that. And then another really small feature in Photos this year is the system can now detect receipts. So it is going to be in your utilities folder. You can see we have receipts right here. So the system is able to detect a photo of a receipt and it'll automatically put it in that folder for you. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the new Photos app in the comments below. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I just think I did like the way it was laid out in iOS 17 a lot better. However, jumping over to an application where I really like the changes Apple made is for Calendar. So Calendar has seen a small update that makes a huge difference in the way you use it. So you know in iOS 17, when you were looking at your month view, you wouldn't get any detail. You would simply get a gray dot on each day, indicating if you had an event. And you couldn't even see what calendar that event was on. But here in iOS 18, we're able to completely zoom in or zoom out and see a lot more detail. So here, if I'm zoomed out just a little bit, you can see we have even more detail than just the gray dot, because you can actually see which calendar each event is on based on color. But the more we zoom in, the more info it's gonna show us. And you can see each of my days are expanding as I zoom in. I think this is a really great update, and I think it's gonna make using your calendar on iOS 18 a lot nicer. And then also in Calendar, we now have reminders integration, as you can see it right here. When you press on the plus, we can choose an event or a reminder. If I press on reminder, I'll just say test and then add. You can see here my reminders are now added to my calendar. And if you are someone who still wants to use the reminders application, they are going to sync with each other. So if you add a reminder in Calendar, it'll be in reminders and vice versa. You can also check off a reminder right from Calendar, which I love. And I think this is going to make the reminders app for me pretty much useless, as I like Calendar a lot better. And actually, since I got iOS 18 on my phone, I haven't opened the reminders app once. Another small update is for people in the United States. If you are a user of Apple Cash, there is a really cool new feature called Tap to Cash. Now, I'm in Canada, so I don't get any of these cool features that you guys get in the US, but if you are a user of Apple Cash, you are now able to simply hold your iPhones against each other to send money. So I'm gonna toss up a photo or a video on your screen right now. It's a pretty neat feature. It's essentially how AirDrop works, where you hold your iPhones against each other, but instead of doing an AirDrop, you're actually sending money to each other. So this is one of those features where I'm hoping Apple eventually is able to bring it to my country, because I would love to try it. And when Apple was announcing iOS 18, they said that event passes are going to be completely redesigned. However, I've had these event passes in my wallet app for quite a bit now. From iOS 17 to iOS 18, I haven't noticed any updates. And we also have an update for the calculator. So if I go into my new lock screen toggle and open up the calculator, I can show you exactly what's new. First up is we have a new button here on the bottom left, and if we click on this, we can jump from a basic calculator to a scientific calculator. I think a lot of people are going to like this, because before in iOS 17, the only way to access this was to rotate your iPhone into horizontal mode. And then we also now have a backspace button. In iOS 17, you were able to do this, but you had to swipe on the numbers, and not that many people knew how to do that. But here we have a dedicated button to delete digits in the calculator. So now I want to show you my favorite update in this application for iOS 18. If you press on this new button here at the bottom left-hand corner, you see we have a new option that says Math Notes. If you click on this, it essentially brings you into a sort of notes app, but in the calculator. And all of these are going to be stored in iCloud as well. So let's just press on the Compose button. Then I'll go into the handwriting option. And then just to give myself a little bit more space, I'll rotate my iPhone. And then let's put in a random equation. So I'll go 55 times 21. And then as soon as I draw an equal sign, you can see my iPhone is going to solve it, and it's going to do its best to mimic my handwriting. Of course, it's able to do more in-depth calculations than simply multiplication, addition, subtraction, division. You can do really, really advanced math here. And I think this is really going to shine in the iPad application, especially if you have an Apple Pencil. It is able to do various graphs and variables. It is very, very advanced. And I will toss up a video on your screen right now just to show you what kind of equations it can do. iOS 18 finally brings a feature that Android phones have had for years. This is something I'm very excited to use, and it is pausing video. So here in the camera, if I'm in video mode and start recording, you can see we finally have an option to pause the video. So if I go ahead and click on pause, let's say for example, you need to reframe your shot. You don't have to completely stop the video. You can see my video is paused at 5 seconds, and then I can simply click this button in the bottom left-hand corner to resume that video. Another really small but kind of cool feature in iOS 18 is for the flashlight. So inside of Control Center, when you turn on the flashlight, you'll see that the island on your iPhone gets insanely big, and it does serve a purpose. So if you press and hold on the island, you're actually able to now adjust the width of your flashlight, not just the intensity. You can still change the intensity simply by dragging down. You can lower the brightness, but also if you drag in, you can make the beam of your flashlight more narrow and more wide as you drag. It's a very unnecessary feature, but it is kind of cool. iOS 18 also introduces an all-new accessibility feature called eye tracking. So Apple thinks that they're getting very good at eye tracking with the release of Vision Pro, and we can now have a similar experience on the iPhone using the Face ID hardware. So if we go into settings, then you want to search for eye tracking, and you'll see it's right here inside of accessibility. We can go ahead and turn this on, and it's going to go through a setup process trying to configure your eyes. So I'll go ahead and set this up, and I'll speed through the process. So just like that, eye tracking is now enabled on my iPhone, and as you can see, I am now controlling stuff just by looking at it. So if I want to turn off eye tracking, I can simply look at it. Then if I want to cancel it, I can just look at the cancel button, and it's going to cancel it just like that. This is a really, really cool feature. And at the end of the day, it is an accessibility feature, so it isn't going to work as well as it would on the Vision Pro, obviously. And I can't even control my iPhone without looking at it here. So if I look, it's really not letting me turn off eye tracking. So maybe this feature actually isn't working that well, because I'm literally looking at yes, and it won't let me turn it off. There we go. So I've now turned it off. So again, I do think that this is still in testing. I don't think it really works that well. It definitely should have a beta label on it. But if you want to try it out, it is inside of accessibility settings, and it is kind of fun to play with. Next up in the very, very small features is we have a bezel animation. So we're going from a really advanced feature like eye tracking to a bezel animation. But that's what I love about all these updates is the very big updates and the very small updates. But here in iOS 18, when we press on the side of our phone, you can see that the bezel is actually animating. As you can see, when I press it in, it looks like the phone is actually reacting to my button press. Now, we believed before the iPhone 16 came out that this was hinting at an iPhone with no buttons, but we actually know now that this is actually making the UI for the new camera control look more unified, because now when you press the volume buttons, the bezel actually goes in, and on the new iPhone 16, when you press that camera control and you're zooming in or controlling your camera, it has a similar animation on the bezel. So this is just kind of making it for more uniformity across the system UI. iOS 18 also includes a pretty cool new accessibility feature called Music Haptics. Open up Settings, and then you can simply search for it. So type in Music and Haptics, and you'll see it's right here. It is an accessibility feature. So when you turn this on, you will be able to get a sample, and you can see the applications it will work in. So I'm going to use it in the Music app. So if I open up Music, and then let's just play a random song like this. Now I have my volume turned all the way down for copyright, but my iPhone is actually vibrating right now to the beat of the song. Now, because this is an accessibility feature, I do believe that this is for people who are hard of hearing, who still want to experience music simply by holding their iPhone in their hand. So I really like what Apple is doing here for people who have problems hearing. Inside of the application, you'll see that we do have an indicator that music haptics are turned on. You can pause them and click it again to turn it back on. And then once you use Music Haptics for the first time, you are going to see it show up inside of Control Center, and you can turn it on and off from inside of here. iOS 18 also has an update for battery settings. So if you open up Settings, then click on Battery, then click on Charging right here, you'll see that we now have a new option to choose exactly what limit your iPhone can charge to. You may be asking, why would you want to charge your iPhone to anything below 100%? Well, if you have a large iPhone like a Plus or a Pro Max and you're not ever getting close to 0%, you know that not charging the iPhone all the way to 100% is actually going to preserve the battery health of your iPhone. So if you're someone who always ends the day with like 40% or 50%, I'd recommend setting your charge limit to 85 or 90. That way your iPhone is never going to be at 100% and the battery is not going to degrade as fast. And we also have a small update for the lock screen. So if we go ahead and press and hold, then press on customize, then choose lock screen. If we press on the clock, we have an all new option for a multicolor lock screen clock. iOS 18 also includes a new feature called vehicle motion cues, which is going to be great if you're the passenger in a car and staring at your iPhone gets you car sick. So in settings, you want to type in vehicle, and then you'll see it's right here, vehicle motion cues. If you click on this, you can choose to turn it on right here. You can have it off, automatic, or on. So I'd recommend having it set to automatic because your iPhone can detect when you are in a car, but I will turn it on just to show you what it looks like. You can see here when your iPhone is still, it is going to have some still dots on your screen, but I'll take my iPhone off the mount. And then as you move your iPhone around, I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but you can see those dots are actually moving. So having these dots on the screen can help you understand which way the car is moving and can hopefully help prevent motion sickness. And then just as we had for music haptics, the first time you use vehicle motion cues, it will show up in Control Center as well, and you can choose to turn it on from right here. iOS 18 also brings some new options for the action button, and this is even more important now because all of the new iPhones have an action button. The iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Pro, also obviously as well as the iPhone 15 Pro, which I have here. Inside of settings, if you click on action button and then scroll over, you're going to see that we have an option right here for controls. And this is taking advantage of the controls API, which we've talked about throughout the entire video. So the controls on the lock screen and also the controls in Control Center are also accessible via the action button. You can choose any control from inside of here, and with one press of the action button, you're able to choose any control. And on a side note, I have my action button set to open ChatGPT, which I love using. So if you guys want to have a separate video where I show my top 10 everyday uses for ChatGPT, let me know in the comments down below. iOS 18 also has an all new application called Passwords. So if you are someone who uses iCloud Keychain, it is finally removed from the settings app, and we now have a dedicated application for our passwords. So you can simply search for the Passwords application in Spotlight, and it is right here. Once I authenticate with Face ID, it'll open up. And as you can see, we have a few different options in here. We have all of our passwords, we have passkeys, we have access codes, we have our Wi-Fi networks, security codes, and our recently deleted passwords. This is a fantastic way to keep track of all of your passwords. Honestly, I have no idea why it lived inside of settings for so long, but it is really nice that we now have a dedicated app where everything can live. Also, if we click on Wi-Fi and then choose your Wi-Fi network, you're actually able to generate a QR code for your Wi-Fi network. So anybody can scan this and instantly connect to your Wi-Fi. Next up in iOS 18 is inside of the music application. And in iOS 18, queuing up multiple songs is now so much better. So I have a song playing. Now, if I press and hold on this song, then press on play next, I can choose another song, and then you see I have the option to add to queue. Now, if I go to my now playing, then click on my up next button, you can see I have those two songs I have queued up. I also have the option to add songs to queue. This was very annoying in iOS 17 because you were not able to create playlists on the fly like this. So this is going to make it so much easier when you have someone in your passenger seat. They can queue up every song they want and it's going to play in order. And iOS 18 finally updates the layout of the settings app. I have been wanting Apple to do this forever, and they finally have. So here inside of settings, you can see that first of all, you don't have to scroll nearly as far to see everything, and some stuff has been moved. So you can see that we now have camera available right here. This is fantastic. Before, you had to do so much scrolling and so much tapping to get to camera settings, but Apple has finally realized that in iOS 18, people are going to want to change their camera settings a lot, so it now lives right on the front page. Also, we have battery settings on the front page as well. You don't have to scroll to get to it. So overall, I like the way Apple has reorganized the settings app. And also, if you want to make any changes for a specific application, you have to scroll to the very bottom and then click on apps, and then you can choose any one of your applications from inside of here. Another really small change is inside of Control Center. So if you want to turn off your iPhone, you can see that we now have a power button. It works just as a normal Control Center toggle. All you have to do is press and hold on it until you feel haptic feedback, and you can turn off your iPhone just like that. So I do want to quickly discuss some of the features that Apple is advertising is coming with iOS 18, but is not available yet. Obviously, the major one is Apple Intelligence. So here you can see when you're looking at iOS 18 on the website, the first thing they advertise is Apple Intelligence. But unfortunately, none of the Apple Intelligence features are available at launch. And it's going to be coming in iOS 18.1. And as you can see on the website, it says coming this December. So it's a little bit deceptive when you see the advertising for iOS 18, you see Apple Intelligence, but none of the intelligence features are here upon the initial release of iOS 18. And then something that's kind of strange is Apple is advertising a completely redesigned mail application, as you can see in this screenshot. I think this mail app looks fantastic, and I would love to have this on my iPhone and use this. However, it just isn't here on my iPhone. The mail app still looks like it did in iOS 17. So hopefully this will be here in iOS 18.1, but still kind of disappointing that Apple is advertising this redesigned mail app, but it is not available upon release. So even though iOS 18.1 with Apple Intelligence is not out right now, we do have a video on it showing the beta of iOS 18.1. So if you want to check that out and see some of the previews of Apple Intelligence, make sure to check out that video. And when iOS 18.1 does come out to the public, we will have a video on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. So that is iOS 18. iOS 18 is a pretty big update, and this was a pretty long video. So I want you to let me know in the comments what your favorite feature is in iOS 18 and what feature you are looking forward to using the most. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you found it informative or helpful or entertaining, anything, please drop a like, as it does help out the channel quite a bit. With all that said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for being a loyal viewer of IDB. My name is Michael. I'll see you in the next video.